Morning, everybody. I'll give it that few minutes to let people log on. Yep, still winter, frigid cold here in Alberta, northern Alberta. Out in rural, so just give it that minute to let people log on. This is a major critical video that absolutely has to be shared. I have to go through some serious topics that are going to absolutely, and already are being, attacked by foreign interests and absolutely through Ottawa and international media. Absolutely an imperative you all watch this and share, especially followers. Everybody's got to be told about all this. And you know what? It may be inconvenient. It may not be what everybody wants to hear, but it's absolutely what you absolutely have to hear. And that's all I've ever tried to do, and that's what the party, the Canadian Constitutionalist Party, is going to do for every Canadian and everybody in every province and region. That's the truth and the reality, and we're going to go through that today. There are three main things you all got to know about constitutionalism, and I've absolutely put out a poll. It's on Twitter. It gives me all the stats. I hosted it, and I'm here today to tell all of you, no matter what you're going to hear in the future in the media, absolutely everybody who's answered that poll from Russia is 100% a Russian citizen. Hand randomly selected by me, scrutinized, randomly went out to them, reached out. In the translation they chose to answer. That's the stat you're going to see in 6 days. 6 days when that poll is finished. You're going to get to see all the votes, what Russians say, what Americans say, and what Canadians say on a simple question: who is the most autocratic, Russia, USA, or Canada? I've done tremendous amount of work on the world stage and world academia. Not as much as I want to go through with Russia. I am heavily researched in the United States, and I'm just moving into Russia now and getting through that. Things I have learned over this year and what every one of you needs to know. We talk about constitutions. It's a layout of the laws governing each and every one of you. Many nations in this world have constitutions, if not almost all of them. Further, there's sub-regions, which are provinces, states, territories. The list goes on and on. There's about 5 or 6 different terms of regions. Russia has absolutely 85 of them. USA, as we all know, has 50 of them. I go into these two countries because they are the countries on this earth today, for the last 70 years, who've absolutely had the most international influence in many nations, how they develop their constitutions, and they also share something in common. Neither of them has a firm grasp anymore in any kind of real sense of it, of colonialism. They don't really understand that term as they absolutely should, and they wouldn't because you'd have to have actually lived in that kind of system. So we're going to go through a bunch of stuff, and it's all called a preamble of constitutions. Most constitutions of every nation on this earth have a preamble. That's the introductory to the legal transcript that governs. Okay, that's all the people, and it absolutely specifies the bread and butter of how a nation's to go forward. I've put three of those topics today as in preambles: introduction to your nation's constitution, where we start with our autocracy. I'm getting massive flack, obviously, from the National Post. I'm getting massive flack from the Catholic Church, who's already aggressively, through the National Post, which they've been doing for a while, all through the Church of England, and absolutely through the corruption of the Catholic Church. Now, everybody, I am a Catholic. I've been a Catholic my whole life. I did my entire education, K to 12, in the private Catholic system. A St. Thomas, for those who are Catholic or know quite a bit about Catholic, that's my diocese. That's my bringing up into Catholicism, okay? There are several sects of Catholicism. even in when you break down the Roman Catholic. And I'm not slamming the Catholics. I'm just pointing out that it doesn't matter what religion, even my own, there are corrupt people regardless. And in the name of religion, they will take in the name of great individuals, whether you want to believe that's the Son of God, Jesus Christ. And why we're getting into this? Because preambles of constitutions have something universally in many nations that Canada doesn't share. And we're going to go through that today, starting with number 1, and understanding the term supremacy of God. And there is a narrative coming from the Catholic Church, from the National Post, from our government, from the Church of England, that they're going to try to press upon all of you. There's already a group in Quebec trying to sell a different narrative, and I'm here today to tell you that is not what our party's about. Even as a Catholic, they're never going to be able to put that portrait around me or this party, and I'm going to explain it to y'all because I'm a real constitutionalist, not a fake one, and I'm definitely not into the English narrative, and I will never, ever sell you the people short. And these are things you have to know. In the preamble term, supremacy of God, guess what? Russia's got it, USA's got it. Almost every single preamble in the United States of America states, all 50, absolutely use the supremacy of God. And I'm going to break that down for you all, what that means. It absolutely means that no politician, and we're not talking civil rights, we're talking the civil law. That is the law where the politician knows what's best for all of you, putting the politician on a higher platform than all the people. And it starts with supremacy of God, meaning not a defined, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Muhammad, whether it's Lord Krishna. The list can go literally on and on of all the different religions. Supremacy of God goes even into those who don't even believe in God, the higher power, the natural law. Russia used that up until just recent amendments, throwing in God instead of the fatherland in the natural law. But still, it was a preamble of putting God above all, a supremacy of God, meaning you define that. Some people say it's the universal energy that's even outlined. Do you know in the Canadian Constitutional Act of 1867, not one mention, not a one, of supremacy of God, meaning they put the crown above all and took away all idea of you, the people, ever being anything but underneath the crown, underneath all politicians. Russia's never done that. The United States of America's never done that. And most of the nations in the world have never done that. Preamble lesson number 1, everybody. Now, Canada had an amendment to that act, which is a piece of legislation that any government can come along and change at will, and there's nothing any of you can do about it. And we're going to get into more preamble, but this is huge. So the second part of the religion of the supremacy of God, meaning a higher power above any man or woman, meaning we're all the people, politicians included, that they're never to be put above the people. So we get into the next layer cake stage. So Canada doesn't have any supremacy of God in their constitutional act, a piece of legislation of a very colonial, ultimate crown power above all the people, putting politicians in that role like their God. Okay, that's the problem right now, number 1 with Canada. Huge autocratic check mark. It blows most of the nations in the world away, besides other colonial countries, which 17 are fighting desperately, and some of them for over 70 years to get away from that. Okay, that's number 1. Beyond that religious scope, Canada took in 1982 on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, they put in supremacy of God and rule of law. Unfortunately, that charter is placed underneath the Constitution of 1867 underneath a legislated act, meaning law is subject to absolutely that divine right of crown politician over all the people and all the law. That's why, everybody, there is no aristocracy in Canada, not as long as that supremacy of crown, which is absolutely supremacy of the politician. You're putting your faith not in any God or higher power, regardless of denomination. You're absolutely swearing that loyalty and that religious faith onto your politicians, literally, not figuratively, literally. That is the act of Canada. Okay? Preamble issue number 1, supremacy of God. Totally explained to all of you. And even now we have blasphemers right here in Canada from the Catholic Church working for none other than the National Post. Nobody liked my little post yesterday about that, but you all have to know. Father De Sousa, absolutely in bed with the Church of England and a narrative, a division of the Catholic Church that may be supported by our current Pope. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you all this. Jesus Christ never ever once in any story or publication, no matter what religion, ever went out and imposed God on anybody. It was will of choice. He gave you an expression of love and your ultimate choice to follow him. Do you think Jesus Christ, if he was alive on this earth today, would ever say, oh, impose it as law on all citizens that they have to follow me? Do you think in Jesus Christ's lessons and in his entire life and expressions and everything ever written on him ever forced his will upon anybody or ever asked for that? The answer is no. And for anyone to put a cloth around their neck and to express that is blasphemy. And it's nothing that Jesus ever taught or any expression of his life. And you'll never find a testimonial or any writing about Jesus ever expressing that ever by anybody in any book ever. Zero. Total lie. Check it out. I've been a lifetime Catholic. So anyone who goes on any other narrative or preaching that, oh, we have to force this will upon all the masses, you're absolutely against Jesus Christ. Absolutely. Including Father De Sousa for the National Post with strong ties to the Church of England over your sovereignty. Now we're going to go into preamble number 2. Preamble number 2 that you'll find in most nations. We, the people, outside of civilized socialist ultimate dictators. Russia has it, USA has it, and many other nations have it. Do you know who doesn't have it? Absolutely Canada. Go read from 1867 all the way through the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. You will never find any reference throughout both documents, which are very limited anyway, any reference to the people of Canada, the citizens, other than the fact that politicians, through Her Majesty, because they are Majesty, get to absolutely decide who's a citizen and who isn't. But there is absolutely zero right of any citizen to have any power or say over any acts or bills or legislation in the entirety of Canada. Zero, including your judicial system. Zero. Ultimately, they're limited by that absolute crown, that absolute sovereign power of your civil political representatives, whether elected or appointed. You have no say once they're elected. You, the people, do not exist in the Canadian Constitution. You absolutely do exist in both Russia and USA, just in preamble alone. Checkmark number 2, Russia, USA, not Canada. Number 3, and I think you can all agree before we get into number 3, just how important it is for the power of the people. And again, we're going to get into this poll post this, but I'm going to go through number 3. Number 3, sovereignty. Absolutely, Canada's Constitution and any of its amendment times all the way up to 1982 have never, ever once removed English rule over Canada. We don't even have sovereignty. We are sovereign to a foreign power that is absolutely illegal in this world today. Yet we'll never get it removed. Our media, our finance, everything about our nation is all tied back in to that foreign power, which is actually a domestic power of greedy, seedy politicians that you're absolutely putting a Jesus-type faith or a Muhammad faith behind when you come to Canada and you become a citizen. You're leaving your faith behind and you're putting your faith in politicians. That's your supremacy of your God in the Canadian Constitution. You give up all your sovereignty of any national status and throw it away to foreign interests. Forever, never cemented in nothing. You will never find any other constitution anywhere besides other colonials or those fighting to get out of it who absolutely give away their sovereignty to another nation. Checkmark number 3, Russia, USA absolutely have it. Canada does not. Just in preamble alone, you, the people, have zero. Zero sovereignty, zero we the people, zero supremacy of God. You're under the boot. You're a third-class citizen. Well established. This is 2021, and nobody sees a problem with this in the world for Canada. While we have media, foreign interests welcomed in, rape, pillage, and plunder, and you all wonder why your country's so broken, just in preamble alone. Now, we could go through that mighty act, and I will be, but understand, Russia has a lot more democracy than Canada is ever going to have. Even though they're adopting on the federal side recently amendments that take a lot of that crown power and put it into the presidency. You hear National Post and Father De Sosa saying, oh, it's bad, don't look at a presidency. Governor General and the Crown is absolutely the best system. How on earth is you the people having zero say and absolutely electing someone with zero accountability to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and you have to wait 4 years to find out what that is? 2/3 of your civil rights that Russia cements in those 85 regions, no different than the United States, for all the autocracy that the federal system under Putin takes upon itself, there is 2/3 that they absolutely give to all their 85 regions, much the same as the 50 United States, who all have constitutions, the 85 and the 50, Russia, USA, that outline a tremendous amount of civil rights, including property and many, many other enshrined civil rights that not one province in Canada has enshrined. They can be polled anytime a politician's elected, and there's nothing any of you can do about it. It can all be changed. First Nations, I have to talk about the latest with Jason Kenney. We're going to do it right now. Anything anyone promises you today, the next elected official of tomorrow can turn around and remove all of it. It goes for every Canadian and every First Nation. Any rights to any land or anything else removed. It's an act of legislation, meaning the supremacy of that God that's actually supremacy of your elected officials, which isn't represented anywhere in the world in any other constitution, cemented in yours right here in Canada, which is what's led to the absolute atrocities committed to First Nations. It absolutely leads to the ability to revoke property rights whenever a government deems it necessary, as in supremacy. That's what we have here. You won't find that in Russia, and you won't find that in the United States. That's reality. I got my mom coming here. I got a sick cat I got to deal with. I'm just shooting a Facebook Live here, Mom. That's why. It's okay. Sorry, everybody. That's the video today. I got to take care of a sick cat. I'm not going to be able to do my Stony for the party today. I will be in the West Edmonton at the Winterburn show for those who want to meet me there to get signed up today, 5 p.m. That's what I'm doing. This is going across Canada. I'm doing that right across Canada. People, understand supremacy of God is not imposing any specific religion. It's giving you, we the people, the power of, we're all people, and there's no way we the people should ever be anywhere below our elected civil officials. They're there to serve you, not rule over you like a supreme dictator. Age of Empires left a long time ago, everybody. And this is what people need to know. Absolutely. Get it shared out. This is the education. Majorly important. The attacks coming in the media and what's going to come forward are going to keep coming. I would never impose any religion over any other religions, let alone non-religious. Religions win on the basis of their teachings, not imposition. That's not a religion. That's not a religion when it needs to be enforced upon people. That's not faith. There's a term for that. And I'm not going to get into a big religious debate, but trust me, as many nations already know, supremacy of God is very important, giving the power of the people. We, the people, is an important preamble to any constitution. The strongest nations in this world, or the nations that withstood the most, have it in their preamble. Absolutely all the regions of the USA in one version or another. Absolutely the 85 in Russia. And the division of powers are written out in extreme detail. There are 0 constitutions in any province in Canada or territory. 0. What does that tell you? This is the problem we're living in. The world has changed significantly since 1867, and many colonial nations have scrapped all of that old evil doctrine from a long time ago. But yet Canada, a population of nearly 40 million, continues on an absolute autocracy of 4 officials with all divisions of powers because they overlap the province, and premiers, even in their dictatorships, can only pass acts and bills if the federal says it's okay through lieutenant governor. You won't see that in Russia or the USA, because then you see revolutions and many other nations who've had to go through those experiences to change it. Canada is very broken, as we're all seeing. Buying votes, politicians borrowing against the people, $500 million one day to throw to a group of citizens, that's illegal in most of the world. In most of the democratic nations of the world, almost all of them, that's 100% illegal. Not in Canada. What does that tell you all? Radical spending, no accountability, no budgets, slaving all of you, radical immigration during a pandemic, telling you all have to be locked down, businesses have to be closed, while yet they're importing the most people per capita than any other nation on this earth today, saying they have a magic screening test that works, but yet they say all these variants are in Canada. We have all of them almost, but somehow their system works. It's called genocide, everybody. You have absolute autocratic dictators who are allowed legally to lie their face off to you, and there is no judiciary to hold them to account. There is nothing you can do except for elect a party in federal power to come on and absolutely change these things when elected. And they have to give you that in a guarantee. It's a tall order of business. Get this shared out. Get people understanding what's going on here, because many do not understand. They don't want to understand. But I promise you, third world is coming to Canada. The longer we continue on this broken narrative of corrupt, filthy politicians who can't even turn to the Allies anymore because they're so far removed from democracy that they're in the absolute civil law, socialist dictator regions of the UN. The worst of the worst nations are all that will deal with Canada now in any real fair term. We don't get that narrative in the Canadian media. We get a narrative that is painted, projected. Americans and Russians, which I absolutely found absolute citizens, real ones from Russia and the United States. As I scrolled through Twitter, went through their accounts and made sure these are real citizens before I even went to them and asked them to participate in my survey as we run this all week. It's not Russian bots, as you'll see when I do publish for all of you. And the Canadians randomly from both parties evenly, same with the US, from Democrats and Republicans, and from Russia, you'll see the same type of citizens in the Russian into all the same issues we all have. And guess what the vote is showing? Absolutely, both Russians and Americans look at each other as the autocrats. Don't even look at Canada, have no idea. Everyone thinks Canada, the freest country in the world, the least autocratic. No idea. That's how far colonialism is removed from Russia and USA. They have absolutely no idea, as most Canadians have no idea. They will pick USA or they will pick Russia. Russia picks USA, USA picks Russia. That's largely how it works. Very few academics from the academic world pick either of those. They'll pick Canada. They're smart enough to know. But the average citizen, programmed or just uneducated on it, and why would anyone know anything different than Canada, let alone the citizens? This is what has to be educated. This is what has to get out. And the more and the further I go with this, you're going to watch National Post, CBC, the Catholic Church, Church of England, and all the financial attachments come unglued. I can promise you, every single of our Federalist parties, CPC, Liberal, and NDP, absolutely 100% in bed with that. In bed with that. Full authority over all of you people, because you don't count. You are third-class citizens, and they will take from you your rights whenever they choose. Please, everybody, share this out. It's huge. It's important. It's gotta get out there. Bye now. I know it's long.